I've been treated very, very, very differently to everybody else that exists. All examples that exist, past, present.
Harry just got served the coldest rejection in royal history. And honestly, the palace didn't even blink. It all started with a letter. Not a public statement, not a press conference, just a quiet personal request from Prince Harry to his father, King Charles III. A formal ask to attend the King's Foundation event. Simple on the surface, but loaded underneath. Effer. For Harry, this wasn't just another calendar date. This event was big. The kind of royal showcase where heads of state rub elbows with philanthropists, where the monarchy flashes its influence in the name of charity. It would have been the perfect moment for a comeback, a symbolic return. But what did Harry get back instead? Silence. Then rejection. Firm, unapologetic, cold. And that's where this story really begins. Not with Harry's request, but with the king's calculated refusal. Because this wasn't a case of an overlooked email or scheduling conflict. According to royal insiders, the answer was swift and deliberate. No invitation, no Zoom appearance, not even a courtesy seat in the back row. Nothing. Zilch. The message behind that silence? Crystal clear. The monarchy isn't just moving forward, it's moving on without Harry. And low-key, that's brutal. Now here's what makes that rejection so savage. This wasn't some minor tea party or seasonal charity dinner. This was the King's Foundation gathering, a public declaration of what the future of the monarchy looks like. Power, purpose, legacy. The guest list was stacked with senior royals, public figures, and cultural icons. Prince William, Princess Anne, Queen Camilla, even non-working royals like Zara Tindall got a seat. Hell, even David Beckham and Kate Winslet were there. But Harry? His name was missing, and everyone noticed. Behind the palace gates, people were buzzing. A senior aide reportedly said, "The king sees no reason to reward betrayal with visibility." And that line stuck because whether you agree or not, that's exactly how Harry is being seen inside those royal walls now. Not as a misunderstood son, not as a man trying to fix a broken bond, but as a traitor who crossed the line one too many times. The interviews, the Netflix deals, the memoir, the attacks on the family, one by one, the trust eroded. And this denial, it was the final nail. No cap. What really stings is how public this all became. The guest list was published online, and when Harry's name wasn't on it, it wasn't just an absence. It was a statement. You no longer belong here. That was the subtext. For someone who grew up with royal blood in his veins, someone who once walked those very halls as a future leader, it was a harsh slap of reality. Sources say Harry had hoped this would be his way back in, a way to re-enter the royal stage, to prove he could still represent the values of service and duty. But the palace wasn't buying it. The king reportedly didn't even hesitate. No discussions, no back and forth, just a straight-up rejection. Some insiders said they were relieved, that after years of walking on eggshells around the topic of Harry, someone finally drew a line in the sand. And here's where things get messier. Because while Harry was trying to reconnect, Meghan Markle was silent, completely detached. According to those close to the couple, she didn't support the request, didn't co-sign it, didn't even show interest. Her focus apparently was on her own business ventures in California. Her absence was loud, strategic even. For those watching closely, it seemed like she was already several steps ahead, distancing herself from a situation that looked increasingly like a lost cause. What was once a royal dispute now feels like something much deeper. Not a family feud, but a full-blown exile. One that's no longer temporary or negotiable. Harry tried to turn the page, but the crown seems ready to close the book altogether. Inside Buckingham Palace, the reaction to the event went exactly how King Charles hoped. Quiet satisfaction, not a ripple of resistance. Aides didn't just agree with the move, they welcomed it. For years, they'd been tiptoeing around Harry's unpredictable orbit, trying to balance loyalty to the crown with sympathy for the king's son. But this time, there was no sympathy left. The consensus was simple. You can't promote duty and honor while keeping the door open for someone who's cashed in on family drama. Loyalty has its limits, and Harry had passed his. Even some of his former defenders in the media have started shifting their tone. Commentators who once praised him for speaking his truth are now pointing out the pattern. The interviews, the deals, the constant commentary, it hasn't stopped. There's always another headline, another confession, another moment where Harry's grievances are dragged back into the spotlight. And people are tired. Big yikes. Social media erupted after the rejection was confirmed. Hashtags like #No more Harry and #Royal Reckoning started trending. Tweets poured in, some harsh, some disappointed, but most echoing the same sentiment. He made his choice, now he's living with it. One viral post nailed the mood. You can't write a tell-all book trashing your family, then act shocked when you don't get a dinner invite. The public isn't as forgiving as it once was. Sympathy has worn thin, and even fans are starting to admit that the drama is exhausting. At a time when the monarchy is working overtime to project stability and purpose, Harry's presence is seen as a liability, not just awkward, but dangerous. There's also the question of security. Insiders say that part of Harry's request involved discussions about safety arrangements for him and his family if he returned. But that conversation went nowhere. Palace officials reportedly shut it down early, arguing that his lack of official duties meant he wasn't entitled to the same protections. That refusal stung for Harry. Security has always been a sticking point. He's mentioned it in interviews more than once, how losing protection made him feel unsafe, how it symbolized his complete removal from the institution. But from the palace's point of view, it was never personal. It was protocol. Without a role, there's no reason for coverage. And no matter how loudly Harry protests, that rule isn't changing. Behind the scenes, even more doors are quietly closing. Sources close to the palace say there are whispers, early conversations about reviewing Harry's remaining titles. Nothing official yet, but the momentum is building. The snub from the King's Foundation event may have been the start of something bigger, a full-on separation, not just emotionally, but constitutionally. The Crown is sending a message, not with press releases or dramatic speeches, but with silence, with exclusions, with decisions made behind polished doors and delivered without apology. Meanwhile, in California, the silence from Meghan is only fueling speculation. Some believe she's keeping her distance on purpose, that she's pivoting toward a solo path, focusing on her own projects and quietly letting Harry handle the fallout alone. Others think she's already accepted what Harry hasn't, that the royal chapter is closed, that the door he keeps trying to reopen is already locked. Whatever the reason, her absence has become its own headline. In a story where every glance and gesture gets analyzed, Meghan's disengagement stands out, and it's not just the press noticing. Palace insiders have reportedly taken it as a sign, not just of division within the Sussex camp, but of resignation. Like Meghan has already moved on from a battle Harry still thinks he can win. It's giving strategic detachment, honestly. Hollywood isn't proving to be the safety net Harry once imagined. When he and Meghan first stepped back from royal duties, there was buzz, talk show appearances, multi-million-dollar deals, and the promise of total freedom. But now the shine's wearing off. Major platforms are quietly distancing themselves. Spotify dropped them. Netflix is reportedly cooling down too. Executives aren't saying it out loud, but insiders are whispering, Harry's name doesn't carry the weight it used to. The mystique that once came with being a royal rebel is fading, replaced by fatigue and controversy. Producers are hesitant, brands are wary. Nobody wants to get caught in the crossfire of royal drama. In an industry built on public favor, Harry is beginning to look like a risky investment. One PR strategist even said, off the record, he came in as royalty, but he's becoming tabloid. And that shift is brutal. Without his royal ties front and center, without the access, the titles, the events, what does he have left that sets him apart? This is where the danger really lies for Harry. His entire public identity was built on his position within the monarchy. Even as he stepped away, that connection gave him leverage. But now that link is fraying. Every time the palace makes a move to distance themselves, it chips away at what he represents. He can still do interviews, he can still write books, but without that royal stamp, the impact just isn't the same. The risk isn't just irrelevance, it's becoming a character in a story that no one wants to keep reading. Inside the UK, conversations are shifting toward permanence. Royal analysts are talking about legacy and precedent. Some are comparing Harry's situation to past royal outcasts, relatives who stepped too far outside the institution and were quietly erased from public duty. The difference this time? It's all happening under a global spotlight. Every step, every decision, every silent message is playing out in front of millions. And King Charles isn't flinching. If anything, he's drawing strength from the clarity. The monarchy, in his eyes, must come before everything else, even blood. The most telling sign came not in a statement, but in the guest list from the King's Foundation event. The names weren't just chosen for status. They were handpicked to symbolize values the Crown wants to promote: unity, loyalty, service. David Beckham, Kate Winslet, respected figures known for their public grace. Including them while excluding Harry wasn't just a social decision, it was a symbolic one. A way to say, this is who we stand with, and this is who we've left behind. For Harry, that kind of erasure hits hard. He wasn't just left off the stage, he was left out of the conversation. Not even a pre-recorded message, no digital presence, just absence. And that absence was louder than any speech. It told the public that Harry no longer fits into the story the monarchy is telling. Think about it. This is giving major, "you're not in the group chat anymore" energy, but on a global scale. With Meghan focused on her own brand, the palace shutting its doors, and the American spotlight growing colder, Harry is now navigating a new chapter. One without a crown, one without a guaranteed audience. It's a path he chose, yes, but it's also one that's rapidly narrowing. And the clock is ticking. There's still time for reinvention, but it won't come from chasing royal relevance. If Harry wants to build something lasting, it has to come from somewhere else, something new, something independent. Because if the monarchy's message is clear, it's this: the page is turned, and Harry's name is no longer on it. Deadass, the royal chapter is closed. What comes next is entirely up to him.